Sir?
We are live, Madam Chair.
All right, good morning, everybody, and welcome to everybody here in Harrisburg, to those of you who are on Zoom and to everybody who is watching online. Let me start by first again welcoming you to the quarterly meeting of the Pennsylvania State System of Higher Education's Board of Governors meeting. Should have said that at the beginning. We're going to start by recognizing some new colleagues here with us at the board table. First of all, we have the newly elected chair of Faculty Council, who is also serving as the faculty liaison to the board, Dr. Tina Shirley Helminiak. And please forgive me if I did not get your name correct. I will learn it. But welcome. We're so happy to have you here. You're a professor of social work from Westchester University. And I would just invite you to say a few words.
The lights on.
Okay, there we go. All right. Thank you, Chair Shapiro, Chancellor Greenstein, for the warm welcome. Greetings to members of the Board of Governors, presidents of our system universities, and constituents of our great Commonwealth. My name is Dr. Tina Shirley Helminiak. I am the faculty liaison to the Board of Governors by virtue of my position as chair of the PASHE Faculty Council. I'm greatly humbled by my faculty colleagues across the system who have entrusted me to represent the faculty voice here on the Board of Governors. I'm a proud product of the PASHE system, having graduated from Shippensburg University and achieving full professor at Westchester University. But I could not have done any of this without the great investment of faculty mentors throughout my academic and professional career. Faculty such as Dr. Robert Hewitt, who mentored me on what it means to be a social worker grounded in our professional values and ethics. Dr. Jennifer Clements, who mentored me in my first faculty position also at Shippensburg University. And Dr. Stacy Metz, who mentored me through the tenure and promotion processes. But this is not just my experience. It is the experience of thousands of system graduates like Dr. Sam Claster, who we heard from yesterday. System graduates who made the decision to return to and reinvest in our universities with a vibrant passion for teaching, scholarship, and service. In social work, one of our core values is the importance of human relationships. And I look forward to building relationships with each of you on this board and in the system office as we work towards making our universities even better. I pledge to provide an overview into the faculty experience at a time when the value of our vocation and a college degree is being questioned. Yet I am hopeful, given the state legislators' historic investment into public higher education proposed in the Commonwealth. Now is the time to show support for the passionate faculty who have taken on a pandemic and system redesign over just the past 3 years. Faculty who develop relationships with and mentor students, which in turn increases student social capital, and in many cases, such as my own, leads to upward class mobility. It is relationships that lead to retention of students and in return will support the stabilization of our institution and the system. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your remarks and again, welcome to the board. And now I'd like to welcome Dr. Karen Riley. Dr. Riley is the new president of Slippery Rock University following the retirement of Bill Berry. And you come to us from Colorado. I just have to say, I was born and raised in Los Angeles and ended up in Pittsburgh. So I don't know if people say Colorado to Harrisburg or to Slippery Rock, but you know, I understand if they do. Again, welcome. We're so delighted to have you. And I would invite you to say a few words.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chancellor. Thank you to the Board of Governors for your vote of confidence several months ago. I am both humbled and honored to take on this position. I've got, a couple weeks under my belt, so I've got it pretty much on lockdown at this point. Feel very comfortable. But in all sincerity, I truly am excited for the potential of Slippery Rock University and look forward to being a strong and contributing member of the PASHE system. So thank you all again.
Terrific. And then finally, let me welcome Dr. Shelley Scherer, who is the new president of the PASHE Foundation. And she is joining us from the Pittsburgh Promise, where I have a lot of familiarity and experience, so I know what a great organization that is, and terrific training ground. Now you're in the big leagues. Welcome. I'm sure Celine will forgive me for saying that. Shelley, please, we invite you to say a few words too.
Well, thank you for that introduction. Good morning. It is so good to be with you, and to everybody assembled here and on Zoom. I just want to say thank you for the courageous leadership that you have put forward to bring this it is today. And while I've only been at the foundation for a few months, so like Karen, have it all figured out, I have been an advocate of PASHE for many years. And I've been an advocate because my work in Pittsburgh showed me that our state system universities are delivering an excellent education to our students at the lowest possible cost. And it is for those students and our institutions that I'm fully committed to advancing the work of the foundation to ensure that those very students attain the degree that they are pursuing, that they achieve economic mobility, and that our state system as a whole has the funds that we need to innovate. And most importantly, that our employers have the workforce talent that they need to grow and help our Commonwealth to thrive. So thank you again for the work that you have done on behalf of so many. And I look forward to working with you on the path ahead.
Thank you, Shelley. And I want to say that we and the entire Board of Governors really looks forward to a close and very productive working relationship with the foundation. So thanks again. May I ask Charissa to please do a roll call?
Yes, good morning. Sorry, Senator Argo, Governor Vogel,
Here.
Representative Briggs. Here. Governor Gindelsberger,
Present.
Governor Hancock,
Here.
Governor Harshberger,
Here.
let's see, designee Steve Dietro, Secretary Hussein, Governor Jones,
Here.
Here.
Governor Mazer,
Present.
Governor Moskowitz. I'm sorry, designee Kim McCurdy.
Here.
Representative Roy,
Here.
Senator Swank, designee Tom Dunbar,
Here.
Chair Shapiro,
Here.
Governor Skinner,
Here.
Governor Smith,
Here.
Governor Walder,
Here.
Governor Weaver, Governor Yeomans,
Here.
and Faculty Liaison Tina Shirelli. Thank you. Thank you.
And we have a quorum? Terrific. Thank you very much. All right. May I ask everybody to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Oh. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That's quite plenty. Pledging to a flag, that's kind of millennial, I think.
A virtual
Sam,
flag.
just for the record, that was Gen X pulling through on that one, all right?
Okay, I stand corrected.
Wrong generation.
Typical baby boomer. I'm just an old boomer.
All right, well, this old boomer is gonna make a few remarks and we'll get going. This is, we are delighted that we're going to be starting the new academic year with hope and a lot of optimism. And obviously there remains a lot of work to be officially done, including officially finalizing the Commonwealth's budget. But we are inordinately thankful and grateful to the General Assembly and to the governor for choosing to invest in our state system universities. And you know, this was an effort that I think continues to show the culmination of a lot of work that we have done at every level. Our faculty, our staff, everybody in the chancellor's office, the chancellor himself, of course, our trustees, our alumni, union leaders, students, and others who advocate for PASSHE and also took on the hard work to bring us to this day. So we feel like this is an investment in our future and an investment in the future of PASSHE, and our students is, of course, an investment in the state of Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. So we continue to have our own responsibility to ensure that the dollars that are granted to us are utilized wisely so we can best serve our students and the Commonwealth. We continue, as always, to focus on providing affordable, high-quality higher education. That is our mission. We will never waver from it. We also understand that our mission is that high quality, affordable education provides students with the capacity to be productive in our workforce, which our Commonwealth needs to be economically competitive in the United States and even globally. And later this morning, we're going to have an opportunity to make a couple important decisions that are going to be in support of that great mission. So these are cautiously exciting times for the state system. We're seeing the fruits of our labor, as I said, and these efforts to redesign our system have positioned us to face challenges that really, truly other systems in the country are just beginning to realize. And I know I've said this before, but we continue to get national attention for the fact that, you know, whether or not we wanted to be on the cutting edge, we were thrown onto the cutting edge. You know, we're performing. So again, we remain laser focused on student success and the success of our universities, and to serve our students the best. We have to provide our faculty and our staff the tools and the supports that they need as well. That is very much a recognition by this board. In many places, our people are stretched thin, especially in this post-pandemic environment, which Tina alluded to as well. And so all of that remains very much on our minds, and we're very conscious of this as we work to fulfill our mission. And we are committed to that understanding and to strengthening every part and every level of this system so that we can deliver on our mission. So thank you again to all of the people who make PASSHE and its universities such special places. I am so proud to be working with this system and with all of you. And I know I speak for everybody on the Board of Governors with regard to that as well. So thank you very much. We will now provide an opportunity for public comment, and let me ask Randy to facilitate that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. For any members of the public in the room who'd like to make public comment, you can come to the podium. And if you dialed in via the phone line, just press *9 to raise your hand. We'll call on you. Give folks a moment. Actually, there's nobody on the phone line, so that makes it easy. And there's nobody in the room, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Let me now call on Dr. Rich Furx, the president of PAC, to offer remarks on behalf of the trustees.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Madam Chair. Let me begin my report with a giant thank you to the Chancellor and the staff and the support and proactive efforts of APSCUF for securing what we consider to be a budget win for the system. The 6% funding increase will help us continue down the path of post-secondary affordability. Now, while some may question the $6 million being restricted to help us reduce the legacy debt at Penn West, we are reminded that we are one system with one pocketbook, and this allocation will alleviate some of the financial pressures on all of our universities. While mental health issues continue to be on the front burner of all of our campuses, the Hunger-Free Campus Initiative will help us combat the ever-increasing issue of student food insecurity. Thanks to everyone for their proactive efforts on the budget. And as we continue with our various contract negotiations, we hope that the same atmosphere of cooperation that existed during the budget negotiations will continue. Up to this point, my reports to the board have been very vanilla, as PAC organization has dealt with the rocky road of transition. From a dramatic change in leadership to dealing with the effects of integration, we have attempted to smooth out this rocky road, and I believe that we are ready to take the next steps to being a true participating partner with the Board of Governors and the system. However, we cannot do this without your support and assistance. The PAC board is composed of one representative from each of the 14 historic campuses of the state system. We have been reminded ad nauseum that we are one. And I have been told that for years we have pondered, how does PAC, with its representative leadership, fit into this puzzle that we are one? For us, PAC is more than an obituary membership. It's an opportunity to be engaged trustees. How do we become true participating partners? My request is that, how do we use these representatives who have a plethora of knowledge to further the mission and the vision of the system? I'm asking you, members of the Board of Governors and the system staff, to consider ways that PAC can be more involved in the decisions that shape the future of the system. I look forward to your response and working with you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. I appreciate those remarks. Dr. Ken Mash from APSCUF.
On Zoom.
On Zoom, great.
Chair Shapiro, Chancellor, governors, presidents, our new faculty liaison, and guests. My name is Ken Mash. I'm the president of APSCUF, the Association of Pennsylvania State College and University Faculties, and greetings from our nation's capital this morning. I wanted to just make some relatively short comments about three different things. And I want you to focus on the word relatively on there because I'll be as short as I could possibly be, I think. I want to join everyone else in saying that we are extremely appreciative of the funding that we will get, hopefully shortly. And especially we want to thank the governor's office. We want to also thank, the bipartisan support that we got in the legislature, which included, people who have always been there for the state system and always advocated for the system, and others too even had to go a little bit further and were willing to answer questions and take a tough position in order to be able to support us. So we're very appreciative of that. And we are also very appreciative of being able to work together. I think we're a powerful force when we all work together. And I'm thankful of the Chancellor's leadership and his whole team in the role that they played. And I'm glad that we were able to play a part in that as well. I wanted to generally comment on the new board policies as well as some of the procedures that are there. And I want to do so just in a general way. We do have an opportunity to comment on these things through our processes. The Chancellor's office is very good about bringing them to us. I also want to, however, just give a word of caution about these. I truly understand why steps are being taken to give the Chancellor's office more powers to take steps that are necessary to make sure that the board can fulfill its fiduciary responsibilities in making sure that the system is being run as soundly as it possibly can. I do understand also the chair's efforts to streamline the board meetings to make sure that there's an opportunity to focus on important issues at the board by creating the consent calendar and also entrusting the Chancellor's office to take those steps. But caution is also should not be taken as any criticism of the current administration of the Chancellor's office, because I think Chancellor Greenstein has shown himself to be extremely transparent and very willing to discuss things, even when we have disagreement. He has put himself out there. He came to our legislative assembly and spoke with people. But I just want to urge you that when you are, introducing policies and accompanying procedures, that we're not writing these for the current administration. We're writing them for future administrations as well. And we want to make sure, and I would hope that you would want to be sure, that there is proper reporting that comes back to the board about all decisions that are being made. That language is not necessarily vague. And I have some concerns about where the word consult means, because I'm not sure what consult means necessarily in the law or, in any formal sense. And I'm also a little bit concerned that if things are not put in print or shared generally at board meetings and are part of the agendas, that the public will have an opportunity to see the decisions that are being necessarily made. And again, I just want to reiterate that my concern is not about what will happen under this administration. My concern is what happens in future administrations, or if we have a chancellor who's not quite so open and not quite so transparent. Will that information flow? Will there be a proper record of decisions that are being made, policies that are being implemented, programs that are being approved and not approved? And so I do think that there needs to be, and I hope that there will be an opportunity in the future to solidify some language that makes at least reporting back either through reports that are included in agendas or some other mechanism that will allow for the kind of transparency that I think the public deserves. And I think also that the board wants to make sure that it has, so that it can exercise its fiduciary responsibility. The last thing I wanted to talk about are our coaches. It is my great privilege to not only represent our faculty, but to represent our coaches. And and it's my own fault. We don't really talk enough about our great coaches, because if we want to talk about everything that we want our universities to be student-centered, to have people give their all, to go above and beyond, one need only look at our coaches to see people who are doing on a daily basis, going above and beyond to not just make sure that their teams win, but to make sure that the student athletes are getting the best possible experience. And if we're concerned about enrollment, we look at the student athletes and we see students who stay, who do well and achieve. During the pandemic, we maintained enrollment among our athletes in a truly amazing way. Too much of what they do takes place under the radar. Of course, we recognize when a team does well and has a winning record, but I don't think often enough we take time to see the success that occurs on a routine basis with our student athletes under the leadership of their coaches. And they've taken on additional responsibilities. Their rosters are increasing. They've taken on more and more fundraising responsibilities to make sure that their programs can continue to operate even as we experienced austerity. We need to recognize that, and we need to show the coaches the respect that they deserve. So I'm hoping that in the future, we will have more opportunity to focus on the coaches. And when there is an opportunity to demonstrate respect for those coaches, that we do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Mash. We appreciate your remarks. All right, we're now going to move to our business portion of the meeting. First with the consent agenda. We are going to consider the consent agenda items listed before you, which include
I'm checking out, but I got a late checkup.
okay, okay, which include meeting minutes, an update to the Audit and Compliance Committee name, and an update to the audit policies to align with current practice. So hopefully you all have read those items on the consent agenda. I'm going to consider them in one motion unless any member of the board wants to have an item voted upon separately. So is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as listed?
So move.
And a second?
Second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay,
No hands.
all in favor, please say
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. Consent agenda has passed, and now let me turn to the Chancellor for your remarks.
Great, thank you, Madam Chair. I guess following Dr. Mash's example, I will also touch on a number of issues which aren't necessarily interrelated in a single narrative, which I apologize for in advance. But I did want to also echo thanks to the General Assembly for the budget. Both aspects of it are absolutely critical for the state system. We appreciate the partnership with the administration and with the General Assembly, obviously members in both chambers and both caucuses. Over the past several years, it's been an honor, actually, and a privilege to be able to engage in an ongoing conversation about the importance and value of public higher education, and to see that general understanding evolve amongst all of us as we go forward. So that's been tremendously rewarding and great for our students. I think I also want to thank a number of others. We stood shoulder to shoulder with our colleagues in our collective bargaining units in APSCUF with Dr. Mash and Sean Cramsey on his team, and in AFSCME with Mike McGuire and Dave Henderson, who you may recall appeared at our board, I think, last time we met. That was a deliberately coordinated effort and demonstrates that when we work together, we can accomplish amazing things. We work together across the system yet again with our presidents, very carefully, again, coordinating our work, and this time convened a group of our people who do public affairs and government relations, generally speaking, who worked with us and made sure that the presidents and the chancellor's office and all of us were in touch and working together. Will Danowski now at Shippensburg and Dan Knorr at Commonwealth led that group, and they did that very successfully. And obviously, thanks to my staff, Sharon Minnick was really tremendous in the creative thinking that she applied to mechanisms to assume the debt at Penn West, which we heard a great deal about yesterday, in ways that would have zero impact on our universities and minimal impact on the Commonwealth. So thank you for creative intelligence and the work that you and your team have done. I want to stay on budget for a minute, and I don't know how to say this elegantly well. But my thanks to the General Assembly are very genuine, and they have been over the years as we have evolved this system together. But now I want to address myself to a member of our community. A 6% increase in our general fund appropriation is an incredible boost and shot in the arm for the system. But as you know, revenues from the state represent about 30%, about a third of our total revenues, which means that most of the revenues that we subsist on come from our students in the form of tuition and fees. So if you think about it, and this is where I'm going to get in trouble with Vice Chair Smith, a 6% increase from the state represents a 2% increase in our revenues, right? So whereas a 6% increase, whereas we needed 90 some million in order to stay pace with inflation, and we had planned on 30 some of that. A 30 million or $31 million 6% increase from the state is such a tremendous contribution, and yet we're still 30-ish million out of being able to keep pace with inflation. So we will do that. I will not recommend today that the board increase tuition because, as you know, I think we all feel that strongly that we need to protect our students and the affordability of their education and their educational opportunities in the state of Pennsylvania. But at the same time, it means we're going to have to work together to continue to exercise stewardship, to ensure that we manage the funds that we have in a way which advantages our students to the best possible ability, but being very careful. And the kind of partnership that we've demonstrated in advocacy, I hope we will also demonstrate as we think about stewardship. But I think even more importantly, I want to hope to see that we will see that kind of partnership with our colleagues across the system as we think about growth, because it's actually growth, enrollment growth in particular, that will drive revenues. And that growth can be accomplished in two ways. One of them obviously is getting more students who are not attending higher education or who are attending other institutions of higher education, but also in ensuring that the students we do enroll stick around and graduate. Right? So those are the two ways to growth. And I think we are conscious, and it was tremendous yesterday in our workshop to hear from Sam Classer at Penn West and to hear this morning from Dr. Mash, to show what we can accomplish when we work closely together. And so I look forward to working closely together with our colleagues across the system, with our faculty and our tremendous staff, and obviously with our leadership, not just in advocacy, as we've demonstrated that we're very good at, not just in stewardship, but in the kinds of innovation that lead ultimately to greater student access and opportunity and ultimately to growth. So that was, I guess, thought number 1A, budget, working together, under budget. I want to turn to another topic, which really was triggered by some of the work we heard about yesterday in workshop that's going on at Penn West, at IUP, Cheney. And it's emblematic, it's, as they think in creative new ways about how to evolve what they do in order to serve their historic mission of social mobility and economic and workforce development. I mean, it's actually, so I am an historian, as you probably know. I actually played a political sociologist once during my undergraduate career for a year. Tremendously fun. And it's profoundly interesting to me that innovation in higher education is so conservative, right? The innovators in higher ed, the people who will, have never seen a cliff that they don't want to jump off of in the interest of their students and our mission, are doing that because they want to remain the same. It's fascinating that they want they are willing to change everything that we do, or at least to review with a view to changing everything we do in order that we may adhere to what we believe is our historic mission of social mobility and workforce development. There's an interesting, conundrum. And we heard, of course, yesterday from Penn West, which is thinking in whole new ways about how to deliver a breadth of opportunity to students and working across the institution from the administration, working closely with the faculty and the staff, and Derek represented the extent to which this is with the students. We heard from Cheney, which is, honestly, if I can, I see President Walton on the Zoom screen. Cheney is evolving a whole new model through which I'm going to call it micro universities with small enrollments. That's the term of art now in higher education. Micro universities can sustain and offer quality education in ways that are just different from those that we have, adopting very different models, different approaches, and yet in order to continue to serve. And we heard again from IUP, which is doubling down on efforts in student support and thinking of expanding into areas, in this case, osteopathic medicine, which are tremendously important to the state, but also offer new opportunities and to IUP and its students. And those kinds of innovations are happening across the system, and it's rewarding to see. Where they happen because we're able to partner closely with our colleagues there. They happen not because we necessarily agree on everything, but because we are willing to discuss, even to debate and sometimes to argue, but ultimately to move forward. So I want to a shout out to the work that's being done across our universities. We hear an awful lot at this board from administrators and leaders about the work that they're doing, and we recognize the challenges and the grit and resilience, frankly, and the innovation and creativity that it requires. It was really refreshing to hear yesterday from Dr. Cluster to understand the extent to which those same attributes are essential and demonstrated by our faculty and of course by our staff. Last, I guess that was point 2, just on, but I want I guess under 2A, where we talked in our advocacy role about how we work together across the system to work closely with our colleagues in the General Assembly and the administration. It's a great evidence of our increasing systemness, if I can use that term. Penn West is, in my view, an even greater reflection of our growing systemness. And the reason is because, when Penn West found itself in difficulties, the system, and I mean our universities, ran in support. And so we heard from President Bernatsky yesterday. President Bernatsky, as you know, was in effect on loan to us from Westchester University, where she was the executive vice president. I think she's responsible for everything. Executive vice president for everything. Yeah, some title like that. Unseen, because not necessarily present, although Jeff Osgood was here, was that Penn West is actually now the occasional home of, I don't know, your entire leadership team. 7, I think. Right. So if we see some wobbling in performance in Westchester, it just demonstrates the and obviously we're seeing that elsewhere, where our universities working closely together to help each other, and that is, I think, to me, the greatest attribute of the systemness which we have evolved over the last several years under the with the leadership of this board. But that is demonstrable, and I know it to be true because I think I just signed something not too long ago that indicated that I know it was true, that Penn West is really swarming with people from Westchester who are there to help and doing it in a graceful, intelligent way. So a shout out to systemness, and particularly to President Fiorentino for having the grace and the commitment and to the system to be willing to make his staff available in that way. So thank you, Chris. The last thing I want to say, this is now, I think, 4, or if that was 2A, this would then be 3, is to reflect just for a moment on the SCOTUS decision. And I don't really want to talk about the decision, but I do want to talk about us, the Pennsylvania State System of Higher Education and our universities. And a couple of points I want to make under this heading. So one of them is to correct any misinformation that may be out there about the extent to which affirmative action is used in our universities' admissions. It is not. Affirmative action is a tool which has been used by selective universities in order to diversify their student bodies. We are, according to the Carnegie classification, less selective. Some of us are almost open access institutions. And that is a privilege. In my view, the rankings, which are published by the Carnegie classification, run in the wrong direction. They start with the most selective and the wealthiest that serve the fewest, and they run to the least selective, the financially most challenged that serve the most. And yet, in my view, education does remain a public good. And as a consequence, those tables should be inverted. Our schools do not use affirmative action, and yet they are representative of the people of Pennsylvania. That is our privilege. It is our mission. It is our role. We are the Commonwealth's public universities. That means we are here to serve all members of the public, and we will continue to do so. The last point I wanted to make, though, under this heading, and because I read the newspapers as you do, and I read the trade journals too, as you may not, but if you're interested in finding them, I can give you the relevant pointers, and you can wake up every morning as I do and plow through them. Don't necessarily recommend it, but it's interesting. I think one of the worst potential impacts of the SCOTUS decision, and it's beginning to emerge in ways which to me are profoundly disturbing, is that there may be members of our community who feel as a result of that decision, and this is not about the decision, I'm not here to debate its merits, who may feel somehow that they are not welcomed in higher education. And if that is true, or if that sentiment exists, I want to speak at least for the Pennsylvania state system and our universities. We welcome everybody. We are here for the people of Pennsylvania. Our mission and our privilege is to serve the people of Pennsylvania and to double down in what we do, ensuring that there is access and opportunity for all, to strengthen, not to weaken, what we refer to as college-going cultures. Today, despite all the noise and the rhetoric and the skepticism and the disturbing trends which demonstrate increasing skepticism about the role that higher education plays, post-secondary credential still remains the most reliable path into a sustaining career. The fact that 60% of Pennsylvania jobs require somebody in them with some post-secondary education, and only 50% or so of our adults have that post-secondary education, suggests the need is greater, not lesser. And we are evolving rapidly so that we may serve that need. But it is important, I'm sure, to all of us, that we demonstrate our availability to all who desire and that pathway into and beyond the middle class and into a sustaining career and a great job. So I wanted to close there. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Madam Chair,
Yes, Mr. Vogel.
I want to respond to the remarks of the Chancellor and applaud him for being steadfast in his determination and commitment to a quality education, but that is provided to all Pennsylvanians and all of those who want to come to our institutions.
Thank you, Mr. Bogle. And I would also, I'm glad you said that. I would just add to that. I heard, I think his name is Michael Roth, the president of Wesleyan University, this morning, who was talking about Wesleyan's decision to end legacy admission. And it was interesting, you know, he made the same kind of argument, and something that I always make, you know, when I'm talking about this privately with family or friends or what have you, which is that it's the wrong argument. It's not about what's impacting a very small percentage of people going to highly selective colleges and universities. What we really should be debating and talking about and encouraging and advocating for and getting, you know, upset about and excited about is where the vast majority of people get educated, which is schools like ours, regional comprehensive public universities, community colleges, and other types of public institutions. That's where 90% or better of people go to get their education. That's where social mobility happens. That's where the building of this country and our ability to remain competitive happens. It's all right there. And that's what we all should be talking about. So Chancellor, I appreciate your remarks, and Mr. Bogle, yours as well, as we move on to our business meeting. we are now going to go into committee sessions. We have a series of 3 committees that are going to meet to consider various actions. As a reminder, only committee members are allowed to vote during the committee session, but we encourage all board members to participate and ask questions if you have them. And then when we move into the full board for ratification later, everybody will have the opportunity to vote on these action items. So let me call on Vice Chair and Chairman of the Governance and Leadership Committee, Sam Smith, first to moderate that committee.
Thank you, Cindy. Call the Governance and Leadership Committee to order and ask Sharissa to please call the roll.
Yes, good morning. Governor Smith,
Here.
Governor Mazer. I know he was online.
I see
He's
him.
there.
Here, here.
Governor
Takes me a
Jones,
second to unmute.
Governor Jones.
Here.
Governor Hancock. Senator Swank, designee Tom Gumbar.
Here.
Here.
You have a quorum. Thank you.
Thank you, Sharissa. This morning, we're going to bring forward a student trustee appointment. Of course, this is one of the important things that come through this committee, and ensuring that students have a voice in the governance of our universities and within our system enables us to remain grounded and rooted in our mission, always understanding that we're here to serve the students. So this committee in the past year has brought forth appointments for 10 student trustees and 1 student board member. So it's a routine thing, but it's a very important thing that we do. The universities have and frankly, the real hard work is done at the university level, but I think that's probably appropriate given that they're, they know the students the best, but they have a very rigorous process to encourage and vet. It's, in my view, it really does start with the presidents making sure that this is important. It's not something that you maybe can do time-wise, but you have to put that emphasis, and I think you do, and I thank you for that as presidents, to make these, to put the weight on these decisions of who we're going to bring forward. I think that's very important. I appreciate what our universities do in that regard. In the agenda packet is information regarding the student trustee candidate that we'll consider today. So we're pleased to bring forward Tanisha Holloway from Commonwealth University Lock Haven. And with that, I will ask President Hannah to give us a little more background and introduction of Tanisha.
Good morning. Thank you, Vice Chair Smith. I'm honored to bring forward Tanisha Holloway as a candidate for confirmation as a student trustee of Commonwealth University Lock Haven. Tanisha is a native of Philadelphia. She is a rising senior at Lock Haven University and expects to graduate in May 24. She is a criminal justice major. Her campus involvements are many. I'll just share a few with you. She is the president of the Black Student Union. She's the coordinator for the social media, excuse me. She's the social media coordinator for the Multicultural Advisory and Activities Council. She also serves on the Lock Haven undergraduate representative for the Commonwealth University Senate's first year experience subcommittee, which is the newly established university senate that brings our 3 campuses together under one Senate umbrella. And she also, in her spare time, volunteers at the Haven Food Cupboard. I bring her name forward without any hesitations.
Thank you, President Hannah. With that, I would ask for a motion that the committee recommends the Board of Governors appoint Tanisha Holloway to the Commonwealth University Council of Trustees. Mr. Mazer, did you make that motion?
So moved.
And may I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion from the committee or other members of the board? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none. Tanisha Holloway is now a Commonwealth University trustee. I understand that Tanisha has been able to join us. Tanisha, you're welcome to please say hello, make a few comments if you'd like.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. I first off want to say thank you for your consideration. It is well appreciated. As Dr. Hannah has said, I have been on Lock Haven's campus since the very beginning, since COVID. I actually graduated during 2020, was which was a different time and had to be adjustable. But since I have been on campus for the last 2 years, because I actually stayed home for my first 2 years and completed my education online, which was actually beneficial for me. But since I've been on campus, I believe that I have made an impact on campus, and students and what students need is something that's important to me. And I could believe that I will continue to do that as I come into my senior year and as being a student trustee. So I really thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Tanisha, and good luck. I hope you enjoy it as much as I know many of the other students do. It's a really great experience, and I wish you well.
Thank
Uh,
you.
that That concludes all the business of the committee, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Smith. Appreciate it. Let me now call on Mr. Mazer to moderate the Student Success Committee meeting.
Thank you so much, Chair Shapiro. Clarissa, could you please do a roll call of the Student Success Committee?
Yes, of course. Governor Mazer,
Here.
Governor Moskowitz, Senator Argall, Representative Briggs, Governor Skinner. Governor Skinner. Governor Hershberger.
Here.
And we have designee Kim McCurdy.
Here.
Thank you. You have a quorum.
Thank you so much. As you all know, this committee is focused on achieving the system's core mission, ensuring that all students graduate in a timely manner with an affordable credential and a path forward to individual fulfillment, civic engagement, and career success. More specifically, the committee's scope is focused on the policies and strategies that will support the universities in achieving student success, access, and success. Today, we will take up two items. Item 10A, which is on page 36 of the agenda, which is an update to policy 1986-04-A program review. This first item, program review policy, contains guidance on review of academic programs and programs in support of the student experience to assure the board and stakeholders in the Commonwealth that our programs are relevant, effective, and are systematically evaluated with view to continual improvement. The policy itself was suspended in October of 2019 to be evaluated against known good practices and improved. Following delays resulting from the COVID pandemic and university integrations, we are today considering revisions that emerged from a robust consultative process in 2022-23. To get us started, I would ask Donna Wilson, our Chief Academic Officer for the system, to provide the committee with a brief overview of the proposed updates to the policy, and she will also be happy to address any questions you may have. Donna?
Thank you, Chair Mazer, and good morning. I will
Good
highlight
morning.
a few of the changes that are worthy of note. The first one you might actually miss. It's only a change of 2 words, but it's a significant change in approach to the 5-year review. And that is, the policy now stipulates that the review is to be standards-based. What it has consisted of previously is a lot of data, many times data that was exchanged back and forth more than once between the universities and the Office of the Chancellor, without sufficient opportunity for reflection and for discussion about improvement. The standards-based approach will align with good practices elsewhere, and it will also align with middle states and with program accreditors approach, so that it will enable departments and universities to leverage their work in the 5-year review and their work for accreditation. So that is the primary change. Other changes of note: the policy now requires a review of general education as an academic program, which it did not before. It requires review of enrollment management units, and it replaces the old so-called sustainability metric with opportunity in consultation with the university to develop threshold metrics for academic programs. If they don't meet the threshold metrics, that will give us an opportunity for further scrutiny. Happy to take questions.
Any questions from the committee or board members in general?
No hands
Randy,
raised.
are there any hands? Thank you so much. Okay. Thank you, Donna. Hearing no questions, I would like to move that the Board of Governors approves revisions to policy 1986-04-A, program review as shown in the board documents. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
No hands raised, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No hands raised.
Thank you. Hearing none, motion passed. Next, we'll take up our second item, 10B, which is on page 40 of our agenda. It's an update to policy 1993-01-A, general education. This policy affirms the value of general education for all undergraduates. General education assures that students acquire breadth of knowledge and learn essential skills and habits of mind that are foundational to a lifetime of careers and a lifetime of contribution to a diverse democracy. The revisions we consider today align with the board policy with recent changes in the Middle State standards relating to general education, and also make more explicit that general education in the state system prepares students to work and live productively and humanely with people holding very different perspectives. Once again, I'd like to ask Donna to provide the committee and the board as a whole with a brief overview of the proposed updates to the policy, and then we can address and answer any questions you may have. Donna?
Thank you. I should apologize up front for what looks like an enormous amount of change in this policy when you look at the red line version. That results primarily from a reorganization of the material. As the working groups were going through the policy, we realized that there was no clear statement of policy. There were overviews and there were guidelines, but there was no clear policy. And so we did a lot of reorganization of material without changing it. And so that resulted in, with apologies, a document that is a little bit difficult to read. The primary changes you will find in the purposes of the policy, where we are more explicit about the outcomes for students for lifelong engagement in careers and in civic engagement, and alignment with the board affirmation, the diversity, equity, and inclusion affirmation. The other change that is significant is in the section aligning with middle states. Our framework for general education has been, over the last decade or so, aligned with the middle states framework. In 2023, this summer, middle states made some revisions to their standards following a vetting process with all the universities in the middle states region. The changes were designed to embed diversity and inclusion across all of the standards. And so we reworded our section on framework to align with middle states. That along with the reorganization are the only substantive changes to the policy. Once again, I'm happy to take questions.
Mr. Chair, no hands in the room or on Zoom.
Okay, thank you all. In that case, I would like to move the Board of Governors to approve the revisions to policy 1993-01-A, general education, as shown in the board documents. Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion?
No hands in the room and no hands on Zoom.
Thank you, Randy. In that case, I'd call for a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No hands.
Thank you. The motion passes. I'd like to thank the committee members and also report that the committee did meet briefly in advance of the board meeting to review these policies and make sure there was a clear understanding of them all. So with that, I would like to turn the meeting back over to our Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mazur. Appreciate it. We are now going to move to the University Success Committee, and though our valiant chair of that committee, Larry Skinner, I believe is on by Zoom. He's under the weather. So with your permission, Mr. Skinner, I'll just go ahead and moderate the committee meeting. First, let me ask for a roll call of the University Success Committee.
Of course, Governor Skinner,
There.
Governor Weaver, Governor Gittelsberger, Representative Roy,
Here.
Governor Klingerman,
Here.
Governor Walder,
Here.
Governor Yeomans.
He's there.
Okay, thank you. And we have Secretary Akbar Hussein, his designee Steve Theotori. You do have a quorum, thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. So there are two agenda items for today's committee meeting, and both of them are action items. These include approving both our 2023-24 E&G Education and General Appropriation Allocation and our 2023-2024 preliminary budget. The first is approval of allocation of funds from the system's fiscal year 2023-24 E&G appropriation as reflected in attachments 1 and 2. This allocation reflects the implementation of an updated allocation formula distribution by the board in June 2022. And I want to again thank the team members who contributed to that effort. The system, upon enactment, will receive a 6% appropriation increase. On behalf of the committee and the board, again, I would like to thank the General Assembly and the governor for their support of our state system and the students we serve. So now let me turn it over to Molly Mercer, the system's Chief Financial Officer, to first walk through the appropriation allocation action.
Great, thank you. And I will also echo our great appreciation for the General Assembly and the governor's support in the 23-24 budget that upon enactment provides for an appropriation increase of 33.1 million or 6%. This appropriation action item, it follows the associated board policy and supporting procedure standards that outline the distribution of our appropriation. Generally, these provide for three things, including for the board to allocate annually to the university for their basic funding requirements, for the board to allocate appropriations for system-wide initiatives, and funds the Office of the Chancellor. The distribution of the university funding in particular, that is aligned with our updated appropriation formula, as was mentioned past last year in June of 2022. The system-wide funding or off-the-top items, those include the Office of the Chancellor, which according to Act 188 is 0.5% of appropriation. It funds the audit function, professional development in accordance with collective bargaining agreements, which those provisions have expired for 23-24, and it provides for the replenishment of the system reserve according to board policy. This year, the system-wide initiatives, they will include core technology infrastructure upgrades that will support all universities, as well as continued student and university success initiatives as outlined in your attachment. I want to also note that the off-the-top items at 5.9 million, those remain stable to last year, and across the most recent 5-year period, they've only increased once, and those are due to steps taken to create savings and maximize the flow of funds to universities. Thank you. I'll turn it back to you, Chair.
Terrific. Thank you very much, Molly. I would like the committee to consider the following motion found on page 48 of your materials. So if you want to get that there so you can see it. I move that the committee recommends the Board of Governors approve allocation of funds from the system's fiscal year 2023-24 education and general appropriation reflected in attachments 1 and 2, beginning on page 49. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Is there any discussion?
No hands.
Okay, nothing on Zoom. All right. Committee members then, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay, thank you. That motion carries. And the second and final item on our committee agenda is the preliminary budget approval, which reflects ongoing process enhancements as part of our system redesign, financial sustainability work. While certain elements of the budget cannot be finalized until fall, this step of preliminary review and approval by the board now in July creates added visibility to university projections and aligns with the board's fiduciary responsibilities. We'll hear more surrounding these enhancements in the upcoming board resolution, exercising the fiduciary responsibility of the Board of Governors for efficient, effective, and financially sustainable universities. Let me turn it over again to Molly Mercer, our Systems Chief Financial Officer, to first walk through our preliminary budget approval action.
Thank you. And I also just want to echo here that this budget data and July preliminary approval, it's very reflective and consistent with steps we've been taking for earlier visibility and increased visibility into universities' multi-year plans. This is also in alignment with the resolution the Chancellor will reference next and associated policy updates. These budget submissions, they were made by universities in mid-June and therefore include several assumptions that will need to be finalized in early fall. The first being the final appropriation allocation. And as I've mentioned, we are very pleased to have the support of the General Assembly and the Governor for the 6% increase reflected in the budget bill, which continues to address our needs and supports our universities and our students. We need to incorporate final tuition and fall enrollment freeze data this fall, as well as any updates to collective bargaining agreements. And so with all of these factors in mind, universities will be making corresponding decisions throughout their budgets and associated adjustments they may need to make to their overall revenue and expenditure levels according to our sustainability guidance. So therefore, these are the preliminary 23-24 budgets, and universities will be finalizing these for early fall, and that information will again be presented to the Board of Governors for approval in October. For the 23-24 preliminary budgets, overall, there is a deficit projected that is equivalent to approximately 3% of the budget. That's primarily driven at 3 universities, which was anticipated as part of our planning. As universities make the final adjustments to their budgets, these will be under the direction of the overall financial sustainability goals and requirements throughout the system. Chair, turn it back to you.
Okay, thanks very much again for that explanation. So I would now like the committee to consider the motion found on page 52 of your materials. And that motion is as follows. I move that the committee recommends the Board of Governors approve the fiscal year 2023-24 preliminary annual operating budgets for the state system universities and Office of the Chancellor reflected in attachment 1 beginning on page 53. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
No hands.
Okay, I'll call the question then. Committee members, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. The motion carries. I think that is going to complete our committee work. I think I'm going to call for just a 5-minute break for any of those who need such, and we will reconvene in 5 minutes to continue with the business agenda. Okay. Proposed tuition and tech fee.
I'm actually going to turn this to the Chancellor to say a few words and set up the tuition motion.
Thanks, Molly. Thanks, Madam Chair. It is a genuine honor and a privilege to be able for the 5th year in a row to basically recommend that the board does not increase tuition or the tech fee. And again, to say our ability to do that really rests on the courage of our leadership and our partnership with the General Assembly and the administration. So thanks to all concerned.
Okay, very good. So we want to give each and every or any board member the opportunity to speak on the topic. So to get the conversation started, I'll put the motion on the floor, which is that I move that the Board of Governors approve the 2023-24 and tentative 2024-25 tuition schedule and the 2023-24 and tentative 24-25 technology tuition fee schedule as discussed. And I need a second, and then we can go into discussion. Okay, I'll just begin by saying that I echo what the Chancellor has said. The ability to do this is something of which we are very, very proud. It speaks directly to our mission. We know that it puts strain continuing on our universities. And we thank so much and so appreciate the efforts of our university presidents and our faculty and staff to also work together with us to make this possible. And again, we've said it many, many times, but I don't think we can say enough how much we appreciate the trust and the investment of the General Assembly and the governor to help us in this effort to ensure that our mission is carried out. This is a really important moment, and I just want to make note of that. Are there other board members who would like to speak to this motion? Representative Roy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I think everybody's pretty much in agreement, but I just think it's a really good thing. A lot of my colleagues in the legislature, we thought it was really important that the system try to, freeze tuition again. And with the high cost of higher education, just even the smallest tuition increases can keep higher ed where some people can't afford to do it, especially in lower income families. So I just think it's wonderful that we're going to do a freeze again for the 5th year in a row. And I encourage everybody to vote yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do any of our students, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but we'd love to hear from our student governors. Yeah, Abigail.
Yeah, Sharice said that mic that was squeaking, that was not you. That was totally me. And you took the fault for it. And I'm so sorry. I would just like to say on behalf of not only our student governors, but every student in the PASHE system, I would like to express our sincere gratitude to the Chancellor, his staff, fellow Board of Governors, presidents, and the legislature for investing in us, but truly for investing in our future, because that's what we're here to do within PASHE. And so we thank you and are extremely grateful for that action.
Terrific. Representative Briggs, yes.
Thank you, Chair. And I do want to echo Representative Roy's comment about, the legislature, has a strong desire to keep tuition flat. So 5 years is pretty impressive. I do want to thank the Chancellor for his advocacy in the Capitol. I probably saw you more than some of my colleagues in the month of June, walking the halls and meetings. So, but I don't want to be remiss with saying this answers all of our problems. I mean, the 6% increase is an investment, but we have to keep that advocacy up for the future. I mean, this is, I absolutely support not raising tuition for the students, but we have to realize that our challenges are just increasing and ongoing, and inflation's a challenge. And the sooner we start talking about next year and trying to really address these financial challenges for the system, we can't start soon enough. So I'm a strong yes, but understanding that this is a strain on the system, and we could probably be asking for a lot more, but 6% is a great investment, and I strongly also encourage a yes vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very, very much. Yeah, and that's echoing a point I was trying to make as well, which is that we realize that this is a strain, and we're asking a lot of our universities in doing this, but we think it's worth it, quite honestly. So we're going to do it again. Any other comments from anyone on the board, or if any presidents want to comment, you're welcome to as well.
No hands on Zoom, Madam Chair.
Okay. All right. Very good. All right, then we'll put the motion out, and all in favor, please say aye.
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 All right.
Are there any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. The motion carries unanimously, I will note. Okay, we are going to now move to resolution 2023-02, and Dan, let me ask you to say a few words about that first before we vote.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. The resolution grows out of the conversations we've been having over the past year about how to strengthen the work that we do, ensuring the stewardship of our universities with the scarce and hard-earned dollars that they earn from, or that they receive from the General Assembly, of course, but the lion's share from our students. It reflects, as you'll see, a good discussion that we had in April with the board, where you urged us to go and think very deliberately about how to represent the fiduciary responsibility of the Board of Governors. So what we've done in the resolution is to reflect that very specifically, very explicitly, to ground that fiduciary responsibility in the language of Act 188. And to demonstrate how that fiduciary responsibility is exercised through the implementation of a range of policies which are represented in the resolution. So what we've done is to create a package which in effect canonizes the role of the board and in ensuring that we continue to do the work that we do to ensure that our dollars are spent wisely and in the interest of our students. I did want to say, just to reflect for a moment, to thank Dr. Mash for his comments this morning. And that just to concur that reporting is absolutely essential. It is a critical feedback loop to the board. And I'm certain, Madam Chair, that you've already figured out
It
a
will be
way.
reflected.
Right, to amend. So, but thank you for your consideration of this. And obviously, any questions, we can take them as can members of my staff who were instrumental in pulling the work together.
Okay, I'm going to put the motion then on the table with thanks again to Dr. Mash for improving it. The motion is that the Board of Governors approves Resolution 2023-02 and the associated policy modifications shown in the attached materials with appropriate reporting to the board. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion or are there any questions?
No hands in Zoom.
Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Okay, hearing no opposition, the motion carries. Thank you very much. We will now move on to our next order of business, which is ratification of a side letter with APSCUF. I will ask for a motion that the Board of Governors ratifies the attached side letter with APSCUF and authorizes the Chancellor to execute the appropriate document. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Is there any discussion or questions?
No hands raised, Madam Chair.
Okay. Hearing none then, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay, hearing no opposition, that motion carries. All right, the next order of business is elections, and I will gladly hand the virtual gavel to Jan Yeomans to moderate this portion of the meeting regarding officer elections.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's my pleasure to moderate this portion of the meeting so we can conduct elections of officers. As you know, our bylaws call for the annual election of officers at the third quarterly meeting of each calendar year, and here we are. Therefore, also I should say the term of office for officers begins the moment that they are elected, and it continues until their successors are chosen and assume office. So with that as background, we will elect 3 officers today. First of all, that we elect the following: to serve as chair for the 2023-24 year, Cindy Shapira; as vice chair, David Mazer; and as second vice chair, Sam Smith. Are there other nominations that anyone would like to bring forward? Hearing none, is there a second to my motion?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 And anyone opposed? Hearing no opposition, we do not need to have a roll call vote, and therefore Cindy, David, Sam, congratulations on your reelection, and I yield the gavel back to the chair.
Thank you, Jan. Very much appreciated. I know I speak for both David and for Sam in expressing gratitude for your trust. Our fondest wish is to continue to lead the board with your great input and advice, and to do it well and to demonstrate the best practices in governance and transparency and leadership. And also hope that you don't get too sick of seeing our faces, because
You have a unanimous vote of confidence.
okay. All right. We are now going to move on to one of the best parts of the meeting, which is to offer a few resolutions in honor of some wonderful, terrific, cherished colleagues who have provided important service to the state system. So first, we want to honor Dr. Amanda Morris, who recently completed her term as faculty liaison to the board. And I believe, Amanda, you're on by Zoom as I read your resolution. I hope. Yes. Okay. Okay. Terrific. Okay. Whereas Dr. Amanda Morris, a professor of English at Kutztown University, was elected by members of the state system's faculty council to serve as chair for the 2022-23 academic year. And whereas in her role as chair, she also served as faculty liaison to the Board of Governors, offering invaluable insights and faculty perspective on critically important board actions. And whereas Dr. Morris has well and faithfully completed her service as faculty council chair and faculty liaison to the Board of Governors, therefore be it resolved that the Board of Governors proudly recognizes Dr. Amanda Morris for her dedication to the state system, its students, faculty, and universities, and hereby honors her contributions to advancing the cause of public higher education in Pennsylvania. By voice acclamation, I move approval of this resolution. So all in favor, please say aye.
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 Congratulations, Amanda, well deserved.
Thank you so much.
Good, thank you. Any other words you want to say?
No, just I'm thrilled that I was part of the faculty council from the beginning before it was even a thing. And, you know, my colleagues and I worked very hard to make this council a real body that could really contribute in substantial ways to policies and standards and procedures of the system to improve things for everyone. So I'm just really honored to have been part of it. Thank you so much. It was really nice of you, and good luck everybody this year. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'll just add that the faculty council, the birth of it, the evolution of it, a faculty liaison on the board, these are all great steps for the state system in shared governance, and we're really thrilled that we could be part of this too. I next want to move to a resolution to honor Dr. Dale Pearson, who recently retired as founding president of Penn West. She could not be with us today, so I will just read the resolution statement for acclamation, and we will send her the full ceremonial resolution. So the statement for acclamation reads as follows. Be it resolved, the Board of Governors proudly recognizes Dr. Dale Elizabeth Pearson as founding president emeritus of Pennsylvania Western University and extends sincere appreciation for her contributions to the university and to the state system. By voice acclamation, I move approval of this resolution. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Terrific. Yay, Dale. Okay, next we want to honor Dr. Bill Berry, who recently retired as president of Slippery Rock University. We are glad he is able to join us via Zoom. Welcome, Bill.
Hi, everyone.
Okay, good. I'm glad to know you're there. Now I will proudly read this resolution in your honor. Whereas Dr. Bill Berry began his service to Pennsylvania's state system of higher education in 2018 as the 17th president of Slippery Rock University, and whereas he led the university in the creation of the College of Health Professions, enhanced affordability and inclusivity for students, shepherded important facility improvements, and advanced critical success metrics for the institution. And whereas Dr. Bill Berry ably guided the university through a global pandemic that upended all of higher education and provided wise counsel and thought partnership at the system level during a time of transformation, therefore be it resolved, the Board of Governors proudly recognizes Dr. Bill Berry as President Emeritus of Slippery Rock University and extends sincere appreciation for his contributions to the university and the state system. By voice acclamation, I move approval of this resolution. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Wonderful. And now I'm going to call on President Mike Driscoll to say a few words on behalf of the presidents.
Thank you, Chair Shapiro. In preparing for my remarks today, I asked my colleague presidents for their thoughts about President Berry. And I admit that I then had a hard time coming up with something to say. Rest assured that everyone had a lot to say about Bill. The challenge was selecting those things that were appropriate to say in public and to Bill's face. There was a clear recognition of the longstanding and often contentious rivalry between Slippery Rock University and Indiana University. In fact, there is reportedly a rivalry between SRU and every other university in the state system of higher education, almost as if SRU is the problem. Nonetheless, I thought that it would be petty to share all the comments about how IUP's president does a much better job than does SRU's retired president in selecting stylish socks to complement his outfit. So I'm just not going to go there, Bill. There were several strong themes in what I heard. Dr. Berry is completely dedicated to the sacred mission of higher education, providing high-quality educational experiences to students to transform their lives is encoded in Bill's DNA. His words and actions consistently demonstrate that he is a passionate, vocal advocate for the cause. While firmly grounded in the best of academia's traditions, Bill is also deeply thoughtful and creative in his tireless search for new ideas and approaches to overcome the challenges and to seize the opportunities present in these most unusual times for public higher education. The state system, Slippery Rock University, and our current and future students will benefit from President Berry's many contributions for decades to come. I think we all recognize that Bill is plain-spoken, candid, fearless, and, well, very direct in his communications. That has been both challenging and refreshing in the world of academic innuendo, misdirection, and doublespeak. And while Dr. Berry pursues his work with notable seriousness and passion, he also brings a wonderful sense of humor. This was most notable during the incredible strains and challenges of the COVID pandemic. A colleague said that his sense of humor, quote, helped keep us all sane, end quote, and on track. Bill, it's been an exceptional pleasure to work with you as a colleague and as a friend. Thank you for your many, many contributions to Slippery Rock and to all of us. I and we wish you and Leah the absolute best in your retirement. Don't be a stranger. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. And Bill, I'm about to call on you to say a few words, but before we do, I have something to say that's really, so important, Mike, maybe more important than what you had to say. No, I'm kidding. But Bill, this is actually a true story. When you were such an inspiration when at your inauguration, I remember standing there in my mere master's robe and hood. And there you were, resplendent in a robe with, I think it was 4 beautiful velvet stripes on your sleeves. And I'm a fashionista. I looked at that and I said to you, that is so, how do you get one of those? I mean, look at mine, look at your, how do you get one of those? And you said, well, go get your doctorate. And I did. And really, that was the primary reason I pursued a doctorate. This is actually a true story. He doesn't even know it, but this is absolutely true. So thank you for that inspiration. I really appreciate it. Even though that thing, as you know, costs a lot of money because I had to purchase it. But I would love for you to say a few words.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And yeah, I purchased, actually, my gown was a graduation gift, so it was purchased by my family, but I think we're still paying it off. So I understand that. Thank you all. Leading Slippery Rock has been the honor of my career, and it's an extraordinary community. And joining this group of colleagues has just been a highlight. And Mike, thank you for the kind words. Finally, something really good comes out of IUP. That's fantastic. And I appreciate it. Yeah, we've have a rivalry, and that's the beauty of this group of presidents. We understand that there's a rivalry, but we also understand that we're colleagues. And I think this group has a fantastic balance in that. And I hope it continues. I'll be watching from a distance. But as some of you know, my wife is a writer, and she has a blog about living in Maine. And I've been having to spend the last week eating lobster rolls because we are trying to find the best lobster roll. So, it's tough work, but I'm really working on that adjustment right now. Again, I appreciate the honor. I appreciate all that this group, everyone in this room has done to support me along the way. And I'm certain that Karen Riley will do a fantastic job and that Slippery Rock will continue to thrive. Thank you.
Dan?
Bill, just a brief word. So thank you very much for your leadership, your friendship, your stewardship. You've been a great colleague of mine. You've been a great member of the executive leadership group. I'll tell a true story as well. It was actually Bill who, in my first ever campus visit to Slippery Rock, after walking into the student center and facing the entire marching band of Slippery Rock University in a very confined space, very loud, said to me in the course of the day that that because of our corporate structure, that the fact that we're a single bank account, that the presidents really needed to be engaged as co-investors. And it was from that conversation that the executive leadership group emerged, and that the kind of system that we spoke about today really was sort of took root from that moment. So one of many insights from you, Bill, and I'm glad you won't be a stranger and watching from afar. And don't change your cell phone number. So much appreciated. And Mike, thanks for your kind words. I mean, not only are they a testimony to Bill's great participation, but I think they're also a salutary reminder that our current president should not really, retire or resign, because they would have to subject themselves to a similar treatment. So thank you for that as well.
Okay, terrific. And our final resolution will be to Sharisa Williams. And would you join me up at the podium, please? Is this mic on? Okay, terrific. So Sharisa, I know you officially retired a few weeks ago, but you agreed to come back to assist with the transition for the person we have appointed to take that role. So let me welcome Toya Hayward, who we met yesterday. She served at Kutztown University for the past decade and will officially join on August 12th. So thank you for being here. We really appreciate it. And now I am saddened but delighted, or delighted but saddened, I'm not sure which, to read this resolution in honor of you. Whereas Sharisa Williams began her service to Pennsylvania's state system of higher education in 2010 as a member of the Chancellor's office, and whereas she served through 3 chancellorial, which I didn't even know was a word, transitions, providing clear, unwavering support to the system leadership, the Chancellor's team, and the Board of Governors. And whereas Sharisa has been a champion for and a shepherd of trustee relations and provided invaluable support to PACT and its leadership, therefore be it resolved, the Board of Governors sincerely thanks Ms. Williams for her dedication, energy, and service, and in doing so declares Thursday, July 20th, 2023 as Sharisa Williams Day in the state. So by voice acclamation, I move approval of this resolution. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to say a few words?
Just a few.
And by the way, let me just show everybody the beautiful.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
I just wanted to say thank you. I've really enjoyed my time working with everyone and really do consider the Pesci, everyone, my family. now that I take time to take care of my other family, and I'm looking forward to to be able to spend a little bit more time with my family, but I am going to say, I'm going to miss everyone. So thank you again.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, terrific. Before we close, for the record, I want to report that the board met in executive session yesterday from 2 p.m. until 3:25 p.m. to discuss legal, contractual, and personnel matters. Before I adjourn, I want to ask if there is any other business to come before the board. Okay,